Hello. I feel like it's been forever. I missed it. You're reborn. You're becoming reborn. It is. Hashtag Phoenix. Technical difficulties. Oh, they hear me, but not Krystal.
Mm-hmm.
Can people hear now?
Hey, guys.
Can you guys hear now? Can you hear now? No? Can you hear now? Chanel. Can you hear me? Shanae. I'm dying. I sound really nasal. Can you hear me? Shanae.
Shanae. Earth to
I am
Shanae.
assuming that they can because its mic is now moving. It wasn't before.
Okay.
So, okay. Anyway, let's redo the intro, Kat, okay? Because clearly nobody could hear me.
Okay, we're back.
Okay, so what I was saying was I felt like I died and just came back to Earth and didn't know where I was, but hey, what's up? I'm back. And
Hi.
I basically,
Oh
I've been sick, and the whole production crew was like, Krystal, don't freaking stream today because you're so sick. And I was like, no, I haven't streamed for a while, and like, it's okay. And then it's like an hour and a half late, and thank God Kat's so chill. Kat also almost died this morning because she was dressed in colonial time clothing in 90-degree heat in a parade, right?
For literally 4 hours.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was 90 degrees and humid, and you're wearing like a crinoline and a skirt and a scarf and gloves, and it's not cute.
I'm
dead. Like a little out of it. I'm a little out of it and still like hot in places.
She's like, I think that I had heat stroke for a minute. I'm like, oh my God, don't die. So yeah, I don't. Who had a more interesting day? I'm not sure between the two of us, but I feel like there was a lot going on, right? So,
my God.
Anyway, here we are. We're alive and back. No, so yeah, I've been sick, which is why I was late. So I'm sorry. I'm apologizing to you guys for being a little late coming on the stream. But I've had a very eventful month. Right? Like, I've been gone for like a month and a half, wouldn't you say?
Mm.
And
Yep.
If you don't follow me on Twitter, basically I'm here to kind of fill you in on my life for the past 6 weeks and kind of what's led up to this point. So basically, about a month and a half ago, my mom had contracted kind of like a foot infection. And the scary part about that is when she's diabetic and, you basically have to really take care of yourself. And she's very on top of it. So she went in to the doctor and they sent her to the hospital and they said basically she had to check in to the hospital and basically get like IV medication and whatnot for her foot. Now take in mind, remember, I've already had a really difficult like 6 months, right? Like the passing of my dad, right? December, January, Harley got sick, my dog that I was very like close with, and he passed away. And then Toto, my mom's dog, passed away a few months later. It's been like a lot of turmoil, like crazy turmoil in my life. And I'm assuming that means the next phase of my life is going to be really good, right? Because I feel like when you go through a lot of dark stuff, that means there's a lot of really good stuff kind of waiting on the other side. So basically I'm an only child, and so for my mom to get sick, it's scary because she's like all I've got, right? And my aunt's passed and my grandma, and so she's it. So my mom went into the hospital. They checked her in for a foot infection, and she was only supposed to be there for a few days. And what ended up happening was a very strange timeline, and Kat was there through everything. What we had assumed for her to go into the doctor to be, or the hospital to just be a foot infection, no big deal, turned into something very serious very fast. And what happened was they gave her a medication for high blood pressure. And the first thing that happened was the medication that they gave her caused a severe allergic reaction. And she didn't know that she was allergic to this medication. She'd never had this medication. And it was during this reaction that she literally thought she was dying. It pretty much shut her entire body down. And she wasn't able to speak. Her like speech disappeared. She was kind of seizing, and she just had her eyes flayed open, and she just couldn't do anything, couldn't walk, couldn't move. And so that took about a day to get through that weird freak thing that no one expected. And so the doctors said, okay, obviously she has an allergic reaction to this, and let's not give it to her again. And that was supposed to be it, right? So then we just continue on with the IV medications of the foot infection, and we just carry on. And so 2 days later, unfortunately, you go through medical staff. And unfortunately, no matter where you are, no matter what the best health insurance you have or not, anywhere you're at, you can get, crappy medical people surrounding you, right? And we went to one of the best facilities in Las Vegas, and unfortunately, these nurses that were in charge of her were neglectful in the next couple of days and did not properly read her medical chart. And what happened was they ended up giving her the same medication again, which triggered a second allergic reaction. And this time, so same medication for blood pressure triggered a second allergic reaction. Now, of course, in my mind, that's happening, this is where we're talking malpractice suit, right? I mean, I literally called Kat and I said, okay, it's time to look up lawyers because, clearly we're in a super malpractice here. Like, you can't do this two times in a row, and it should be on her chart. It's total neglect, right? So, or negligence, I guess. So for the second reaction, basically shut her entire body down. And what it ended up triggering was, so she had the allergic reaction. The medication was administered to her while she was asleep. So she did not know. So they basically put it in her IV while she was asleep. She woke up a few hours later and just had started the seizure process where she couldn't speak. And called the nurses with like the emergency red button just in time before she basically had another shutdown where her body just completely shut down. The only problem with this part was it triggered a heart attack is what happened. So this allergic reaction, this medication was so bad on her system, on her body, it like caused so much stress on her body that it caused her to have a heart attack. So luckily she was at the hospital though, which is where you want to be if something major happens. And when this heart attack happened, they called in like the emergency cardio department and like the emergency nursing staff for when like trauma happens. It was considered a trauma. And they kind of wheeled her in and started this huge process of examination. So they wanted to know, other than the medication triggering the heart attack, they wanted to make sure, like, does she have any arteries that are clogged, or, like, how's her heart? So when you do that process, you do, like, kind of not only an ultrasound of, like, your whole body, but they actually will put a camera, like a little microscopic camera in through your leg, and they will go and examine your entire system from head to toe. And so, this is where it gets crazy, right? Because I'm angry, obviously. Like, I'm really angry because my mom is being, what I think, neglected and not doing well. And I'm stressed out, obviously, and I don't know what to do. And I'm angry with the nurses. Like, you want to see executive producer Krystal come out, y'all should have been there that day, okay?
God.
Y'all should have been there. I think Kat heard me on the phone a few times, like
Yep.
over the moon screaming at people because,
Needed to be
they
happening
could have
though.
killed my mom. You know what I mean? Could have killed
Yeah.
my mom.
Right.
But it's one of those things that there was sort of a blessing in disguise. And the reason was that when they went in with the camera system, whatever it's called, they found out that my mom was basically a walking, ticking time bomb, and she was about ready to have like a severe, massive heart attack, and like could die at any moment. So, I kind of cooled it because she ended up. I found the best surgeon on the West Coast. It's a cardiac surgeon that came in. And basically, they thought she was going to need one or two areas of her heart redone to clean it out, like the valves, in order to make sure she did not have a heart attack. And so I was like up and down for like a few days. Kat knows, like, 1 minute everything's okay, and then the next minute it's not, and then the allergic reaction, and then everything's okay, and then another allergic reaction. And it was crazy. I was on this horrible roller coaster for days. Like every day it was something else. And finally, they said, okay, well, we're going to have to take her in for major open heart surgery. And once again, I'm on this roller coaster of like, holy shat, what's going on? She went in for a foot infection and now she's having open heart surgery, So it was crazy. I couldn't control anything that was going on around me. Now, through all this, my mom was in really good spirits. She did finally come out of the second allergic reaction. And she was like, you know what? She's like, I kind of have a decision to make, which is, the doctors say I don't need to get this surgery and eventually I'm going to have a massive heart attack and die. Or I can get the surgery, it's going to be a hard recovery, and I will have 20 or 30 more years to live if that's what I want, or however long. As long as you take care of yourself, right? So, I told my mom, we were very, very open with each other through the whole process because the realization was her facing open heart surgery, there was a very good chance she was not going to come out. Because it's probably one of the most major surgeries that you can ever have in your life. And so my mom and I, for a few days, it wasn't emergency, so meaning they didn't wheel her in right away. So basically, they made sure she was stabilized for a few more days after the allergic reaction, and made sure like she didn't have any stress on her heart. And then when they thought she was ready, they went ahead and took her into surgery. So, my mom and I were just very honest. We were like, you know what? She told me, she's like, Krystal, I love you. And she was like, if something happens and I don't come out of there alive, she goes, I want you to not, be upset, not hold on. I need you to not stress. I need you to just continue to live your life. And that was some really hard conversations to have because I feel like as a child, you just assume that nothing's ever going to happen to your parents. You think they're going to be there forever, and you don't want to ever have the realization that something could happen and it's unheard of, and you don't know. You weren't prepared. Clearly, we had no idea she was going to go in and have open heart surgery of all things. So, thank God I had Kat and Chanel, and the whole production crew was extremely, supportive through everything, as stressful as it was. So, had some difficult conversations with my mom, making sure, I think she was wanting to make sure that I was going to be okay. As a parent, you always worry about your kids more than yourself. And they were going to take her in on a Sunday. And then another roller coaster on Saturday morning, I get a phone call that they're going to go ahead and take her in. Now, the worst part is that where this hospital is I live like a good 30 minutes plus traffic, plus highway construction and everything else. So I didn't even get to like see her before they wheeled her in. And of course, my mom is like such a strong bitch. That's what Kat kept saying. Your mom's a strong bitch. Because she was like, I'm fine. You don't need to see me before surgery. You know what I look like. I'll see you when I get out. Like, she's like, I'm like, Kat's like, well, now I know where she gets it from. Okay. Like, so they wheeled mom in, didn't get to see her, but I was like, she did not give a crap about it. So I was like, all right. And so this is where it got crazy too. The surgery was supposed to last, a few hours, maybe 4 at the max, and it ended up being like a 9 or a 10-hour surgery. It was insane. And the reason the surgery was so long was that there were a lot of complications. And the main reason is that my mother flatlined several times. And she recalls 2 times dying. But, and she told me about both of them in the hospital. But now that she's home and she's, obviously on the mend of recovery, she only recalls one of them. And I'm kicking myself. I should have recorded her while I was in the hospital talking about it, because she doesn't remember the other one. But I wanted to talk about those today. And they're kind of emotional. So everybody get ready for this, because of course Kat, you've heard of stories, right, of people saying they crossed over and like they saw the light and all this stuff, right?
Right.
I mean, we've all heard those stories, but have you ever known somebody that actually did it?
No, never. It was extremely emotional.
It was. Yeah.
Extremely emotional. Yeah.
Yeah, Kat was on the phone with me constantly. She was like, "What's going on? I'm about to fly to Vegas." Like, Jesus. Again, right? She's said that before. Oh, God. So there was 2 times that my mom recalls passing. One was when she was actually on life support, and another one is before they actually put her on life support. But after surgery, the doctors did tell me that she had several moments throughout that surgery that she flatlined, and she doesn't remember all of them. Thank God. I mean, Jesus, thank God. Of course, let's talk about it from our perspective for a minute, realistically, because we're very spiritual. You, Chanel, and we all have the same outlook on, like, spiritualism and like the other side and whatever. What do you think it's like to cross over? Like, do you have an idea of it? Or it, like, just from stories? Or like, are you afraid to die? Like, there's a good question.
Well, I feel like there's always a fear of the unknown, like what's going to happen. I've heard different stories, in scenarios of ways or things that have happened when they've come back. But I don't know. It's just, until it happens to you, I guess it's just one of those moments where you just have to kind of wait it out and see. I remember once my mother talking with me about my grandmother, who had passed away quite a few years ago now. And my grandmother visited my mother saying, "I will always be with you until you're with me in this realm."
Ooh, you cut out a ton when you said that.
Really?
Yeah. Can you repeat that again?
Yeah. My grandmother told my mother in a dream, "I will always be with you until you are with me in this realm." And ever since I was told that story, I guess I kind of had like my own reality as to what it would be like. No pain, no suffering. She looked great as well, I guess. And I guess it's just, you just gotta see. You gotta wait and see. And I guess there is some fear with that.
That's one of those journeys you don't get to take with anyone else, even if you've been married for 100 years, right? I mean...
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw my grandmother pass, and I was 15. I had to help my mom make the decision to remove her from life support. And that was really, really difficult, and I've talked about it on my channel before, because when we were in the hospital with my grandmother, first of all, she had gone through a surgical procedure as well, and she had a really bad surgeon, is basically what happened. And the surgery failed. And then the nurses ended up not getting her up to walk in time, which caused blood clots, which caused a stroke and a heart attack. So she had this, like, freak death, like, that no one was expecting, okay, like, overnight.
Right.
And they basically, what they had to do after the blood clot, they had to amputate her leg. And she was a dancer. And my mom and I knew that if she woke up not being able to dance, she would be devastated, right? Even at 70, she was still dancing. She was going out every weekend dancing. And so that was one concern. And the other was, they said she was brain dead. Like, we were looking at the brain waves, and she'd always said, don't keep me alive and be a vegetable, right? So when we had to take my grandma off of life support, I remember being 15 years old, and she was bawling her eyes out, and they claimed she was brain dead. And my
Yeah.
mother made every single family member, like all my, I mean, we had like a big family at the time, all my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, everybody. She made everyone go in there while she was on life support and tell her that it was okay to go. Because my mom
Mhm.
kept saying she doesn't want to go and she's not ready and she's scared. And so,
Mhm.
literally, one by one, everyone had to go into the ICU to say goodbye to my grandma. And of course, I was the closest with her. So, that conversation
Oof.
for me was like an hour
Really
long. I was in there.
hard.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Mhm.
And then, so when they had to make the move to take her off of life support, they claim that when you remove someone from life support, they can actually, your body can linger for sometimes weeks and months. And my mom was deathly afraid she wasn't going to let go. And my mom was like, oh God,
Ugh.
please let her let go. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
don't let her sit here, like, suffering and drowning, basically.
Right.
So, seeing my grandma not want to go and just fighting to leave was very difficult for me for a long time. So, my view on death for many years was hard. So for a long time, I had a lot of fear in death and a lot of fear in crossing over. Um,
Mm.
that was before I really jumped into paranormal, though, right? I mean, you're talking
Right.
15
Right.
years old. Then my aunt, when my aunt died, she had like a massive heart attack, died, and that was it. She was gone.
Mm.
And I remember going to their house the next day after she had passed, and I was in my like mid 20s. I thought, oh, I'm gonna feel her here or whatever. No, man, she was gone. She was like, I'm dead, I'm gone, I'm out of here. I'm done with this world. Peace out. And so that was the
Oh my
first thing that
gosh.
really changed my perspective on it. Was like, damn, I do not
Yeah.
feel my aunt at all. She's like over it. She's done. She's moved on.
Right.
Um, so my mom was always really clearly I got my spiritual beliefs from someone, right? And
Mm.
so she feels, very similar to us. And also, she had a horrific thing. She had to watch her dad die when she was let's see. My mom was 13 when my grandfather died, so I never met him. And he had
Mm.
developed brain cancer. And when he had brain cancer, he let's see, that's the 60s. Can you imagine how shitty the medical was then?
Whew. That's scary to think about.
I mean, it's not
That's very
advanced,
scary.
right? I mean, the
No.
60s, there's
No.
no
No.
advancement, and he's going in for brain surgery to have a tumor removed.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
So you know,
That's a
in the
nightmare.
60s, you become a vegetable and you become a guinea pig, right? For like, unfortunately, thank God we're in an era where
That is
medical has
scary.
advanced. Isn't that horrible?
No kidding.
So my
Ugh.
mom saw her dad sit there and just kind of become tortured with, surgery after surgery and never revived and never got better and essentially laid there until he died, which he was like bedridden,
Huh.
non-speaking, non-communicative, he didn't communicate for months, like literally going on for like a year. So I think
Oof.
from my mom having to see that as a kid, she's always been like, if I go, I'm going, and like I'm not looking back.
Mhm.
So so she's in the surgery, and she says that she didn't know. She remembers anesthesia, right? Like they put the mask on you, and the anesthesiologist says count back from 100, right? So she's
Mhm.
like, I remember 100, 99, 98, 97. Bam, she's out, right? Doesn't remember anything.
Wow. Mhm.
And she has no recollection of how many hours it's been. She had assumed it was like 3 or 4, and when I told her it was almost 10, she like died. She like passed out. She's like, oh my god. So she's
Mhm.
in surgery. She's not conscious, obviously, of anything that's happening. But she says all of a sudden, she can hear the doctors talking, and
Mm.
she doesn't know if they're that point of anesthesia where they're like waking you up.
Yeah.
So she says she's confused because she hears them talking. She doesn't really know what they're talking about, but she knows they're not waking her up in like recovery because we've all had surgery. We know what that's like. So she doesn't
Mm.
really understand why anyone isn't like trying to wake her up. And then
Mm.
she realizes that she's not breathing. She realizes
Wow.
that her body isn't moving. She realizes that she has no control over her body at all whatsoever. And she said the first emotion is a little bit of panic, because that's a human feeling, right? Is to be
Mhm.
like, how can I, like, then, I think she may have thought anesthesia awareness is a real thing, which is when they don't put you under enough with anesthesia, right? So I
Mhm.
think she's probably concerned. There's anesthesia awareness going on. She might feel like cutting or something. She doesn't know. So a
Mhm.
little bit of panic sets in, but she goes, then all of a sudden, she goes, the fear of not having control over yourself just goes away.
Mhm.
Because she goes, you realize, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
If you
Yeah.
can't move your body and you can't breathe and there's nothing you can do, what are you going to do about it anyway? You going to sit there and just have a freaking mind-blown panic attack? No. There's nothing you can
Mhm.
do. So what she said was, I was consciously telling myself, okay, and I'm going to probably tear up too. Sorry, guys. She's like,
Mhm.
I just knew it was time. She's like, I just knew my time was here. And she goes, the first thing I thought of was realizing what my mom went through. My grandma, her mom. Okay, like during the life support thing, right? So she goes, the first thing I thought was, I understand now why my mom didn't want to let go and just cross. Because she goes, your initial reaction is, I still have a daughter, which is me. I still have grandkids to wait for because I don't have children yet. Krystal's about to get, this pilot finished and get her own series finally, like all the work she's done for all these years, and I'm not gonna be around to see that. Sorry, Kat.
Okay.
And when she told me this, I was like, what a parent to be like dying and you're not even thinking about yourself. You're thinking about your kid.
Right.
Like your final moments on earth, you're not even thinking about. You're not even thinking about yourself. You're worried about what's going to happen to your daughter. And she said that she wasn't upset. She wasn't even upset. She was like, she's like, I have no control over anything that's happening right now. She did not know if she was, once again, the voices of the doctors, she couldn't make out what they were saying. She couldn't hear what they were saying. And she said, all of a sudden, as she's telling herself these things, that she's accepting that it's time to move on, that she's accepting that her physical body, her physical vessel has died, and there is nothing she can do about it. She has accepted it. And she said, all of a sudden, I felt this lightness come about me. And she goes, I felt like I shed my entire vessel, meaning like her soul was starting to lift. Okay? And
Mhm.
she said that she felt so lightweight and she just couldn't believe how much the human body weighs us down. You just wouldn't believe it, she said. It's just like, the stresses of like physical issues that we go through with, like, if you're diabetic or you get diagnosed with something or whatever, or weight issues, that's just for this planet. It's not for the other side. It's not where we're from, is what she said. And she said she just started to float up. Now, once again, she couldn't see anything and she couldn't clearly hear anything. She doesn't know why, but she just knows that she was in her like spiritual self, and that part of her started to float upwards, is what she said. And she said that she felt lightweight. She felt like, honestly, all of the troubles and issues that she had been having with her physical vessel were now behind her, and she didn't have to worry about those physicalities anymore because it's gone, right?
Mhm.
So she
Mhm.
said she starts floating and she's now starting to hear different voices. So she could not, once again, make out exactly what these voices are. So her and I have spoke several times. We don't know if this is spirit guides We don't know if this is angels. We don't know if this is my grandmother and my aunt and all my cousins and all my other family that's crossed over. She's not sure, but she said it became this strange, like, no one knows what to do with my mom, sort of like, should we bring her this way or is she supposed to go back that way type of thing. And she's like, I know that I'm going away further from my body. The further she drifted from her body, the further the voices of the doctors went. The further and further. Like, so she could tell she was drifting from them. She says it's like, you know, when you're walking away from someone, like in a hallway, and it just gets dimmer and dimmer. That's what it was like. She did not see, supposedly, the light or the hallway or the whatever. She didn't see anything. She couldn't see anything. So it became this kind of battle between worlds, almost like, is she supposed to cross over or is she supposed to stay here? And she said the only thing I could think of was, once again, it makes me laugh just because I'm so close with my mom, being an only child, and she raised me. You know, my dad wasn't really a part of my life till like my early 20s. She raised me by herself, so that means we were that much closer. And she's like, the only thing I could think of was, oh my God, how am I going to tell Krystal this to get on her channel? Like, we need to tell people what this is like. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
I know. And so at some point, I don't know how long this went on for. She seems to think it was for like a while. But all of a sudden, she said she felt like something was pulling her back down to her body. So now she went up one way, and now she's going back in reverse. Now, was this her conscious choice? Well, remember, she did say in her mind, I'm not really ready to go. I want to see my daughter and what she's doing and with her grandkids and blah, blah. But if it's my time to go, I'm also okay with that. So she kind of already put that out there, right, of like what she wanted. So her guides heard her. So I'm assuming this is when they started putting her on life support, okay? And she said all of a sudden now she's, whoever was in this like hallway or whatever it is, whether it was guides or angels or family, whatever, they're getting dimmer now. And now she's hearing again, the doctors are getting louder, right? Because now she's going back this way. And I think the distinguishable, if anyone's wondering how she knew it was the doctors, she had a room of like 9 cardiologists working on her, and they were all men. And a lot of her cardiologist team, they spoke Mandarin. That was their second language. They're like they're from like different countries, and so I think she heard them speaking, and that was this distinguishable tone difference, and why she knew it was the doctors. So she said, I ended up coming back. And then all of a sudden she's like, I could feel breathing again. So she goes, the first thing in my mind was, somehow I got back, and she has no idea how, because it wasn't like she was physically like driving her spirit, because she couldn't see anything. And once again, I don't know why. This is only her experience. Now, she says she got back to her body, and she said that at some point in her mind, she said, I knew it was going to be okay, and I just kind of tried to go to sleep because she knew she was back in her body. And that was it. She just fell asleep, and then she woke up after surgery. Wow. Now, the other time that she spoke about in the hospital, but she does not recall, after surgery, unfortunately, there were more complications, and she ended up being on life support for like 2 days after surgery, which is extremely dangerous. Like, usually if someone's on life support for that many days after surgery, like, you can assume they're not going to make it. And, you know, the doctors and the nursing staff were coming up to me saying, like, you know, this isn't good. And I was like, well, I know. But the strange thing is, and, like, I would even call Kat and I'd tell her, like, I go in the room where my mom was, and I know she's on life support. Her lungs had completely filled with fluid. So basically, what we think happened of this time she remembers crossing over, she'd basically drowned. And they did not put her on life support because she didn't need it until her lungs had filled up with fluid. So now she still has the fluid in her lungs. It's going to take like 48 hours or more for them to pump the fluid out of her lungs. There was a moment that she also told me in the hospital that she thought she crossed over while she was on life support. She doesn't recall this one. I've asked her over and over, like, are you sure you don't remember anything? She's distinctly told me about this in the hospital. Now, this one was interesting because, when you're on life support, it's a machine essentially that's breathing for you. And I had gone in to see her several times, but the nursing staff didn't want me to come up because every time she would see me, so she was conscious, she would open her eyes, but they did have her strapped down because of the breathing machine. She could not breathe on her own. She would open her eyes, and every time she would see me, she'd jump out of bed like she was going to try to, like, get up and leave to go with me. And I was like, Mom,
Aww.
like, I would be like, Mom, it's okay. Just breathe. You can't get up. She didn't realize that she was on, like, a ventilator and stuff. So she would come in and out of consciousness. And eventually the doctors and nurses would be like, it's just not good for her to jump like that on a ventilator. So, like, can you leave for a few hours and, come back? So one of the times on the ventilator, they were going to try to take her off of the ventilator the first night. And they think that, well, she did flatline again. And basically they thought they had gotten enough fluid out for her to breathe on her own. You don't want a body to become dependent on a ventilator because then there's oftentimes it won't recover itself. So they tried to take her off of the ventilator the first night, and she had too much fluid in her lungs. She was basically still drowning. And that moment, she had told me that she did see, quote, what we call the light. But she didn't describe it as like a light shining down, like it's like a spotlight. She described it as a tunnel, and then there was kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel that illuminated the tunnel. And she did think that she walked into the tunnel and walked into the light. She did say that she had saw my grandma. And once again, she doesn't recall any of this because this is like the first day she was off life support. She was still on a lot of medication. She said that she saw my grandma, and my grandma had told her that it just wasn't time for her to be there with them yet. And my mom had said that she got emotional because obviously, you're kind of stuck between two worlds. Like, my daughter's here, but yet her own mother and her sister and other family, her dad and other family are there. So it's hard to choose, right? Like, which one do you want to go to? You want to go with all of your family, or just your daughter is left on the planet? And so she kind of got emotional about it, but I guess my grandma had just said, it's just not your time to be here yet, so you have to go back. And my mom said that she was really sad. She was just kind of sad that she had to go back. And she doesn't necessarily remember the quote, walk back through the tunnel, but that was when they had revived her and inserted the ventilator machine so that she had come back on the ventilator. So, this is really deep. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Yeah, that's insane.
It was totally insane.
To think about.
It was emotional. It was the craziest few weeks of my life. So where is Mom now? Mom is, so she got off the life support. She is definitely better now. She didn't realize the road to recovery from open heart surgery is a painful one. Because she had fluid in her lungs, they had to test her and watch her for like pneumonia and bronchitis. She did get sort of like a post cough from afterwards. And just let me tell you guys, from watching her and being an empath, having to cough after open heart surgery is probably the most painful MF thing you could ever do.
Yeah.
And they train you to like hold a pillow really tight, and she has a warrior scar right here. She thinks it's like the ugliest thing ever. She's so vain.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm like, Mom, you're a warrior. You're a warrior. So
she's a trooper.
Oh
Wow.
man, it was insane.
Such a strong woman. Such a strong woman.
It's crazy. Yeah. So she's.
And how amazing to share that with you.
Oh yeah, she's.
Wow.
I'm speechless for the whole thing because like. I'm trying to get her to, like, co-write a book with me on this, Like,
yeah.
I'm hoping to have, like, a series of GGD books of my own, and I'd love for her to be one of those volumes. But, and I think she's agreed to, finally. But, she came out of this extremely spiritual and slightly different. I think I told you that. She's
Mm-hmm.
really looking at life very differently now. It's that whole, like, and she's so funny because she's like, my time will come someday. And she goes, some people, are on their last leg, or they lose a loved one, and they say, like, I wish I could have had one more day, or I wish I could have had another week. And she goes, I want you to know, like, you and I got a lot more time together. So if something ever happens, don't question we've had time
Right.
together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy.
Wow.
It's super crazy.
There are no words.
There aren't. It was a spiritual journey for me too. It was like really, I'm exhausted. I'm gonna be real. I love my mother.
Yeah.
Thank God she survived. This has been a roller coaster to hell and back because, you think that she's going in for a foot infection. By the way, that's fine. If anyone's wondering, that's fine.
Yeah.
But, you get these, like, neglectful nurses, and in a way, I was telling Kat, if that wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't have known this, would we?
Nope.
So it's almost a blessing in
Wow.
disguise. So am I going to pursue malpractice? No, because thank God it happened, because if it wouldn't have, she could have just came home and had a massive, horrible heart attack, which is not good. I know, it's crazy.
She had such an impact on the hospital, though, too.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me about the nurses and them being impacted as well by this situation.
Well, the first day she went in, which was not for heart surgery, right? Of course, she's bragging about her daughter, right? And telling everybody about Krystal Diaries. Right. She's like, I'm going to get you fans no matter what, okay? Like, that's my job as your parent to do that. And so she's telling everybody about this. So then every time, then they'd look me up on social media and they'd look up the YouTube channel, like, oh my gosh, like, And so I'd come into the hospital and I would just want to go visit with my mom, and I'd get stopped by like 4 doctors and nurses, and I'd be like, like, I don't know. Hi. What can I do?
Right.
But what they would do is they would, like, all these nurses and doctors would sit down with me in my mom's room, by the way, and sometimes in her presence, and tell me stories that they would have, which I thought would be really cool to share with you guys. Which I find this ironic, because wasn't it like a month or 2 ago, or like before my mom got sick, I posted on social media, like, any nurses and like doctor staff to reach out to me and share their stories. I posted that.
Yes. Yep,
so it's really weird. Like,
it's very strange.
It's very weird. So I had PAs coming up to me, medical assistants, CNAs, RNs, and regular, like, MDs talking to me about paranormal experiences. It was crazy. And I didn't record any of them, obviously. It was more of like an intimate one-on-one conversation. But nurses seem to have the biggest paranormal experiences, from what I can tell. And doctors, usually during surgery. Doctors and nurses have seen spirits or whatever literally raise up from the body. And like there was a nurse that was in my mom's surgery who was like, she specializes in, like, I don't know all the different specializations. She specializes in cardio nursing surgery and like helps the patient or whatever. So she said she's like, I can't tell you how many times I have literally seen what looks like a tunnel open up from the ceiling, and this person like goes up into the ceiling. And she goes, sometimes I'll see that before the patient even flatlines. So she's like, I don't even understand what's going on. She goes, because sometimes I'll see this happen, but I'm looking at the patient like the patient's fine, but then all of a sudden they flatline. She goes, no matter what they do, it's gone. And sometimes she goes, they're like savable, But she goes, it's just weird. And then I had another nurse, or actually several nurses in the ICU seemed to have the same story over and over, which was, they would be sitting at the nurse's station. And by the way, I feel like this is an important piece. Most of the time, the major paranormal activity takes place for the nursing staff is between 2 and 4 a.m. which is pretty
Wow, witching
accurate.
hour.
Yeah, witching hour, which is accurate for us. So I feel like that's big for you guys if you're investigating. The big hour is between 2 and 4 a.m. So what these nurses would see is they'd be sitting like at the nurses station, and obviously at that time of night you're not going to have visitors or anything. And they would look up and all of a sudden just see their patient like walk by in their gown. Like they're just cruising either like to leave the hospital or like cruising down the hallway. Well, in ICU, they shouldn't be just getting up walking, right? Because usually that's like patients that are in distress or like after surgery. And so all the nurses, and by the way, these stories are all similar, and none of these nurses sat down together. This was all one-on-one conversations I had. The nurses would say they will get up and like panic, and they'll run to like go catch their like, patient, and they can't find them, first of all. And they're like, where'd they go? Like, did they like book it out of here, like take off running? And sometimes we're talking about elderly patients who probably aren't the fastest at running. And she goes, then what we'll do is we'll like we'll panic thinking we need to like let security know to find them downstairs. So they run into their room, whichever room it is, and find the patient in there dead. Like flatlined.
Wow.
And she goes, they should be on monitors where monitors notify them of like, if they flatline. And she goes, I can't tell you how many times patients have flatlined and none of the equipment goes off. None of it.
Wow.
And she goes, and it's not malpractice. It's almost like the patient, like the spirit knows it's going to, like, I don't want to be saved. I'm leaving, is what the nurses said.
Wow.
So it's deep. It gets really deep. And like these nurses, they're telling me these stories, and some of them, they loved these patients, like I know my mom had a couple of crappy nurses, but that doesn't make all medical. You can't put everyone in that, category.
Right.
But some of these nurses were literally like crying as they were telling me these stories because they were so emotional about that patient that like they wish they don't know what they did. You know what I mean? Like, why did it flatline, and why weren't they notified, and how did I just see him walking out of here, but yet he's right here? You know what I mean? Like, it's a very, like...
It's not logical to them.
It's not. And especially with, what I did notice, too, with medical staff, particularly doctors and, like, PAs, which is physician's assistant. They, obviously, all these people that go to school are medical minds, right? Science minds. Which, the other side... If there's no if there's no scientific explanation for it per se, does it exist, right? So a lot of the doctors that had talked to me along with the PAs, they were the ones that really couldn't compute the what they saw, like seeing ghosts, seeing apparitions, seeing a soul leave its body. And even a couple of the doctors that I'd talked to had said they saw the soul leaving like during surgery or whatever, and there was just nothing they knew before the patient flatlined. Right. They knew there was nothing they could do. So that's crazy to me. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Because you don't think of it like that. You assume, I feel like, especially the way Hollywood depicts it, is a patient dies and then you float up. Not the other way around.
That's so wild.
It is weird. Yeah.
So wild.
Any questions from anybody yet or anything like that?
I don't see anything. Everyone's very emotional about the stream right now. So
Dawn Thomas is Facebook. I think Dawn Thomas is one of my mom's friends that went to high school with her.
Yes.
That's awesome.
My best wishes for a speedy recovery. I have known her for 57 years and think of her often. She's a special lady.
Aw, I know who Dawn is. I know who you are, Dawn. Mom's talked about you a lot. She had a lot of really close high school friends. She's strong. That's all I'm going to say. I'm sure if you've known her for 57 years, you know that. So
she is one tough cookie, for sure.
Kat talked to her like a few days after surgery. Kat's like, you're a strong bitch, Mom.
She is.
She really is.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible, the fact, and she seems to be doing a lot better.
She is. Yep.
Now,
she's staying with me.
Recovery,
she's at my house. She's staying with me. She's in recovery. It's going to be a 2 or 3 month full process. Every day she's better. She's walking. I take her and I go with her to her doctor checkups, and the
Mm.
doctors, the cardiologists have said over and over, there was a 40-year-old patient that went into surgery for a triple bypass the same time my mom did. And the doctors say that it's all about your mindset. Like if you're going to go in with a positive attitude that, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to make it out, I'm going to be all right, it's going to be hard, you got to work hard, then you're going to be okay. But if you go in with, a pessimistic, depressive mindset, you're going to get what you want, which is oddly the whole law of attraction, which is what we talk about all the time. But even the doctors say that. Apparently this 40-year-old that had surgery the same time as my mother, he's not walking, and they're going to have to readmit him into the hospital again because he's basically just given up on his will to life. And here's my mom just kicking butt, like not caring. She's like, she was up walking the next day, guys. Like she was like, nope. She's like, it sucks. It hurts.
Right.
She said a few times to me, I don't know if I would do this again. And I look at her and I go, do you really feel that way? She's like, probably not. I would probably do it again if I had the option. So, but yeah, she's tough, man. God. She's no joke. Woo.
For real.
She absolutely hates her scar. That's the only thing.
Oh, I believe it. Oh, knowing your mom.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Allie and Wine said, this is amazing to hear. My dad had open heart surgery and needed 5 bypasses.
Wow.
So I know the recovery process is very tough, but prayers to your mom. She's so strong.
It is. Yep. It's a hard process. It's painful. What they do, I'm not going to explain it because it could be a little too vulgar for people. I'll just say they replace things with other things, and those things have to regrow. Let's just say that.
Oh my God.
But the process of regrowing is painful, and remember, open heart surgery means they open up your chest. That hurts, like it's bones broken and stuff. So, yeah, it's a huge process. My mom's a fighter, man. She put a lot of interesting viewpoints into me now, as far as like I will say the only way I think I've survived through this whole like last 6 weeks of my life is I have made sure and maintained my diet, not like eating crappy foods, not eating like fast food and junk food all the time. Sugar is so bad. Not making sure I'm exercising every day. If I didn't have those things and meditation, I don't think I would have made it through this, like mentally, like making sure you keep your mental health on track. I think I am sick now because I think my body's like, okay, girl, look.
You need a minute.
It's been a long 6 months, boo. Okay.
Oh my God.
So what I need you to do now is you're gonna get an ear infection. You're forced on vacation, and then I need you to go to Italy for like 2 weeks, okay? And just take a break.
Drink some wine.
Drink some wine. No, I'm just kidding.
Gosh.
Not yet.
Now, I have an interesting theory for you.
Okay.
So, hearing about the apparitions that the nurses were talking about one-on-one, and that they would see one of their patients walking and then walk into the room and deceased, what is the possibility that if an apparition that is that clear can possibly drain the energy of the monitor so it wouldn't go off?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100.
I mean, how crazy is that?
Mm-hmm.
That's just crazy. Like, wow.
Well, and then the nurses would even tell me, like, of course they feel like a guilt, like, oh my God, if this person died and the monitor didn't go off, did I have the monitor hooked up correctly? Or whatever. And they always say when they went in to see the patients, and they would check the monitor and it was running perfectly fine. There's actually test modes that you can run. But literally, not only did they not go off in the room, but most of those monitors have a sensor where they will go off the nurse's station. They wouldn't even go off the nurse's station. So they would be like, we don't understand what's going on. We don't understand what the heck is going on. So they were emotional about it. Those nurses took it very serious. And then, the CNAs are the certified nursing assistants, and they're at the bottom of the totem pole because I think they only have to go to school for like a week to get their certification. But those little CNAs, like my mom had a couple. They're usually really young. They're girls that haven't wanted to go to college, but they want to get like a little trade under their belt. In fact, my little cousin Hannah is a CNA. In fact, I'm paying her CNA license off right now. Hannah, Jesus. In Nebraska.
Oh
But
my gosh.
but anyway, these little CNAs get really attached to their like little patients. And the
Mm.
CNAs would see the apparitions walk out, and sometimes they would call to them, like, Mr. Jones or whatever, come back, you need to come back to your room. And they'd just keep walking, and the CNAs would say they wouldn't respond. It was like they didn't even hear them. And
Oh my
they'd be
god.
like, Mr. Jones, and they'd be confused because they'd say, when the CNAs are in there, they usually do, like, blood pressure checks. And, like, do you
Yeah.
need anything, like water? And, like, sometimes they'll take their pulse and all that stuff. And then
Mm.
oftentimes patients will have the IVs in. And these little
Right.
CNAs would say, I would get so worried because I'd see the patient get up and walk out, and, like, they didn't have their blood pressure cuff on. Their IVs were removed from their arm, but they were still wearing their gown. But they didn't
Wow.
understand who or why they removed the IV and who
Oh
removed the
my
blood
god.
pressure cuff. So the little CNAs, because they're so young and like inexperienced, they'd be like, I was so creeped out because it was like a person, but the person
Yeah.
wasn't there. And then they'd say they'd walk in the room and the person had died.
Oh
So it
my
was
gosh.
the
Very
CNAs were
eerie.
scared. The CNAs were
Poor
the worst.
things.
That was so sad.
Oh.
The nurses though are very like, oh yeah, there's ghosts and there's spirits, and that's the way. Like the nurses were like, the RNs were like,
Oh
oh
my
yeah, girl, let me
gosh.
tell you, I met a CRNA, which is what I was going to school for in my early 20s, which is a certified registered nursing anesthesiologist. And
Mhm.
so this is the nursing anesthesiologist is the one that administers the anesthesia under the anesthesiologist, okay? And the CRNA was like, oh, girl, I could tell you some stories. She goes, there's sometimes I see the patient sit up and I've administered anesthesia, and this girl doesn't work with emergency anesthesia. So
Mm.
emergency anesthesia can be dangerous because if someone comes in on an emergency, you may not know exactly how much the patient weighs or how tall they are. So they have to guess. And that's like
Mm.
doing funny math. And when that happens, that's when you get like anesthesia awareness, which is people that are awake when they're getting surgery. But she's
Mm.
an actual like prepared, like this surgery is prepared for. She goes, there's times I'll be sitting there, the doctors are like working on somebody, like surgery, and all of a sudden I see the patient sit up. And she's like, I think the patient's sitting up during surgery. And she's like, I panic thinking they need more anesthesia. And she goes, I realize it was a ghost. Like their spirit literally just sat up on the table.
Oh my
And
god.
she's like, sometimes I've seen him like get up and walk out of the room. And then sometimes she's seen the like levitation process. But
Oh my god.
as a CRNA, I panic thinking that I didn't give enough anesthesia.
Oh my god.
That would freak you
That's
out, wouldn't it? If you were
insane.
doing your
Yeah, I'm
job, you're
freaked
like,
out
oh
now.
my god. But she said, she's like,
Wow.
there's like, when you're in an operating room, you know that some people aren't going to make it. And she goes, you just know you're going to see a ghost. And don't freak out. She goes, the first few procedures I was on, when I saw that happen, she's like, I freaked out. Because I was like, she's like, I didn't even know what to do. I was like, and she's like, the weird part is she saw it happen, like the patient sit up, but the doctors didn't see
Mm.
it. So that's why she was confused, was why are the doctors not panicking? This
Right.
person sat up and I'm panicking that the person sat up. So yeah, there were
Wow.
some weird
Wow.
stories that came out of there. There were some really weird stories that came out. There was
That's
one night,
insane.
a nurse said that they get a lot of, so there's like, so they have a, like emergency, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure a lot of people know how hospitals are, but I'm talking to people because I know like Amy's on from the UK. I probably have some UKers that are going to watch later. At our hospitals, they have these kind of like remotes that go to the hospital bed, and there's like a big red button, which is you call the nurse if you need anything. But there is like a microphone and speakers that are attached to those, and they also are attached to the television in each room. And those monitors also feed back to the nurse's station. Sorry. And so the
Huh.
nurses said that sometimes before the patients would die, they could hear like EVPs and DVPs coming through those microphones.
Wow.
And once again,
Wow.
correlating the same time, which is between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., seems to be like the big time.
Wow.
And they would say they'd
Huh.
hear like gurgling, and so sometimes they would panic thinking the gurgling was someone like dying. And
Oh
they'd
my
go in
God.
and the patient was totally fine, or the patient had already crossed over, and once again the monitors had not gone off.
Oh my God.
Isn't that creepy? It's
That
just,
is creepy.
it creeped me out.
Very interesting.
And the nurses are like, oh girl, hospitals are the worst. She's like, I see doors open all the time by themselves.
God.
And she's like, in fact, well, Blake worked at a hospital in Afghanistan, and he would see, he's like, you just see a door open, like someone walked through and then shut the door. And the nurses said the
Wow.
same thing. So I was like, I'm glad that nursing career didn't work out, okay?
Oh my
Jeez.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow.
So anything else did you read up on with all that? It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any comments
Yeah,
from anybody
no.
yet?
No really other comments.
Does anybody else have questions
No.
about anything?
Yeah, put your questions in the comments, guys. I
So
don't see any.
Allie, if that was you that said that your dad had 5 bypasses, I'm so glad that he's
Yeah.
okay. I will say, technology for, science and surgical procedures has come so far. We're so blessed to be in 2019 and moving forward, because even my mom's surgery, they used, I mean, we're on the West Coast, so they use a lot of like really new tech from like UCLA and stuff. And thank God they used all the fancy new tech on my mom for her procedure. So thank Jesus for that.
Wow. Yeah.
Anything else I missed on
Wow.
questions?
Nope, not over here. Other than just lots of thank yous. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, sorry I got so emotional. This has been a really tough month. I'm ready to leave January through June behind. Like, I'm so
My
ready.
God. Half of 2019.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Yeah.
good God.
Yeah, and then I got sick, and
Wow.
Kat was like, you really need to go to Italy. Like, really.
Yep. The retrograde needs to be over now. And you need to be in Italy.
Yeah.
For sure. But you're doing it. You're still trucking along, girl.
Yeah, I am.
You're a trooper, too.
Thank God the production crew has been really understanding of everything that's been happening, that's been going on, and I took part of this week off because I was sick. I had no idea I was as sick as I am, which says a lot about me. It says that I don't pay attention to myself.
She works a lot. She does a lot.
Maybe I work too much. Well, it's been hard.
Way too much.
I'm trying to finish the pilot still, and like the production crew is waiting on me, and all the people that are backing Ghost Girl Diaries are amazing, and that includes my Patreon subs. But I've been like stretched really thin, and I think that's why I got sick. And it's just a friendly reminder, to slow down and make sure I'm taking care of me, because I'm bad about that. So I'm still editing. I'm hoping that after I take a few more days of these horse pill augmentin that I'll feel better. And I know. Kat called me this morning. She's like getting ready for the stream. She's like, oh my God, you sound horrible.
It was really bad, guys. I'm sorry. But she sounds way better now.
And I was like, maybe
She's
I just need to
I was
drink some
just drinking tea.
Yeah.
And sound better now. I'm
Yeah.
like,
I
Lord.
called her before the stream. I'm like, do I sound better? Yeah.
Well, it's a combination of obviously your sinus infection, ear infection, allergies.
Yeah.
It's been super warm over there too. God.
Someone said
Homegirl needs
Italy has
vacation.
earthquakes, don't go. Let me tell you about earthquakes, okay?
Oh my gosh, yes, tell about that.
No, that was another thing added to my SHIT list, okay? Like, literally. I'm sitting
Oh my
here,
God.
what was it, like a week ago? Is that what it was? Like, barely a week ago?
Yeah. So,
Finally, I've been, able to focus back on, editing 100%. I'm so close to being done. And I'm sitting here editing, and I think I just talked to you, an hour before or something. And I'm literally sitting right here, where I'm at, and all of a sudden, my whole desk starts, swaying. And so I'm like thinking, oh my God, I need to take some Tylenol. I think I have a really bad headache. Something's wrong. Like, woo!
Tylenol.
Did I have like a moment? Like, it's been a long month, but maybe I just need to step back. So I literally like slid back because I was like, am I like hallucinating? Literally. And I realized it wasn't just my desk. It was like the whole house and like the ground. Everything was swaying. And like I looked down and like all my dogs had like ran underneath me and I'm like, so they knew it. And I'm like,
Right.
I mean, it lasted for like a minute. And so I'm like, I didn't want to move. I've never been in an earthquake before. So apparently is it Ridgewood? Is that
Ridgecrest.
Ridgecrest, which is
Yeah,
like,
it was a 7.1, I think.
it's like 5 hours from me, okay, or something like that. They had a really bad earthquake there, and we felt it here in Vegas. And let me just say, Vegas was not built for earthquakes, okay? Let me just say that because like the strip, like those high rises down on the strip. Oh my God. Thank God I live in a one level house. It's like a big ranch. It's all one level, but it was not fun, okay? Let me just say it wasn't fun. And I was
The aftermath
dizzy.
wasn't either, you poor thing.
No, I
Yeah.
went to the doctor and what is it called? What did I tell you it was called?
Good question.
It's called
like really rare.
earthquake sickness or something like that. Hang on a second.
Something like that.
Can
People are, like,
can I
affected
Google
by
it, guys? Let me just Google it really quick because I had never heard of this happening. But I went to like urgent care the next day because I felt really, really nauseous. I was like literally throwing up for a few days. I had like ringing in my ears. My equilibrium was off, and it's something called like, I think it's called like earthquake
It was like earthquake fancy word. That's all I can think of.
earthquake symptoms,
Earthquake, post-earthquake something. Post-earthquake something.
I don't know. It's probably PTSD for all I know. Okay, like not funny. Blake has PTSD,
maybe.
but anyway, it was. I didn't know it existed, but apparently, like 40% of people will get it or something. It's like, but 40% of people will get it, but only like 21% of people notice that they have it, which is like the nausea and like the dizziness and like the like. I felt off balance. It was like my equilibrium. So then we were like, Kat and Chanel and I are like researching it, and we find out that if you're in an earthquake, how much electromagnetic fields are released from the earth. And I was like, no wonder. I'm like sensitive, and I'm like tripping over myself.
Empath, energy, everything.
I'm like,
yeah.
universe, I could really use a break. Stop it.
You're like, stop. Okay, this
God.
is it. I'm done.
So yeah, I was in an earthquake. It's really fun. Just kidding. I haven't ever felt one, but thank God I didn't move to California.
Ooh.
That was where I was originally going to move. So, cheers to Vegas. That's not going to happen. So,
Here's to Vegas.
when are you moving to Vegas, by the way? Anytime soon?
October
Nope.
is still the projected.
Oh. Can you believe
What?
that, guys? Oh my God.
What?
Just
What?
excited.
Oh, I thought something was happening. I'm like, what?
No, it's going to be
What's
dangerous
happening?
when you, Chanel, and I are actually in the same state permanently. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're not going to get any work done ever.
We're not gonna ever.
No, I'm just saying.
Chanel said it's called post-earthquake dizziness syndrome.
Well, that might be another term for it, Chanel.
I don't know.
That's
I feel like there are
great.
more big
I don't
words
need
involved.
another syndrome involved, okay?
Oh my God.
Kidding. Oh my God. See, I still have a really good attitude through this, right? Like, I
You
feel
do.
like I do, you
You're
know?
a trooper. You're a
Yeah,
trooper.
well, you know what?
sure.
Like I said, I really feel like although there's been weird things come up in my life this year, I still think that means there's really good things on the way. And we all know what that means, which is GGD. And I haven't, not for once, given up on GGD and what the plans are with it. So it's just been a little bit delayed. But I feel like, is it really, or is it perfect timing because the universe always has a way of working itself out?
Yeah, it still feels like really timed well. It just feels right.
It
It's
does.
gonna be amazing.
Well, and even I've finally been able to like focus on editing and whatnot. And Chanel, I googled what it's called, and she put a hands up. Um, no, I mean I've finally been able to really just focus on work, and it's been smoother than it has been for the last 6 months. So clearly, it's a timing issue, and I'm one of those that believes in perfect timing. And clearly that's what's happening. So I just need to get over this
Everything
whole like
happens.
illness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
You need a clean bill of health.
you guys will know that everything's going really well, and I mean with like health wise and like GGD. If you see on my Instagram with Kat that we're at a beach, the minute we're at a beach, whether it's Italy or not, and I'm not afraid of earthquakes because let me tell you, I'm pro at it now. Okay, that means everything is going great because we're already going in that direction. And with Chanel too. Last night I had a dream that Kat, Chanel, and I just kept going to a pool. I don't know. Maybe that's just
It's my pool.
It's foreshadowing. You know, maybe that means like we're about ready to like get all this. We're gonna get signed with this, and it's just gonna be done. And we're gonna be traveling, and I'm going to a beach. The first thing I'm doing is going to a beach.
Go to the Chanel beach.
I know Streamlabs said, Chanel, please refrain from using too many caps.
Oh my gosh.
It's Streamlabs.
Blake needs to get her back in as a mod.
I know. Why isn't she a mod? Blake, can you please remod her?
I think that's her new Twitch channel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Blake, can you please mod up Chanel, please?
Balake.
So anyway, Jesus, take the wheel.
Questions, but it looked, this was good though.
It was.
It felt good.
Sorry I cried. I got emotional. It's just, it's hard, and you're, I'm an only child, and I'm really close with my mom, and if anything were to happen, don't worry, Amy, we're going to take you with us. She said, take me with you. Don't worry, Amy, you're on that list for the beach, girl. Okay? Oh my gosh, she's so funny. Yeah, everything's good. Oh, Kat has had a really interesting couple of days. She got to deal with some idiot producers over the last few days, didn't she? Wasn't that fun?
Ridiculous.
Isn't that fun dealing with people that aren't professional?
Yeah, but it felt good. It was good because it was good to go through that situation.
Well, now you know the pain that I've been going through for the past, 6 years. So,
good God.
There's just people out there that aren't smart, and there's really no other way of putting it.
Don't deal with stupid. Don't deal with stupid.
Yeah, except her Aries came out, and she just couldn't hold back, and you know what? That's okay. We're all different people, and sometimes we can't hold it, Once the pilot is fully done, how many more episodes do you plan on filming? I cannot promise anything, but we are proposing a 10-episode season 1 is what we are proposing. So, and then it depends on if they would like us to keep the pilot, what we have, or if they want us to reshoot the pilot. So we will be filming another 9 to 10 episodes is what we're proposing. And I think that's pretty fair for a season 1. Don't you think?
Can't wait.
Yeah. And we'll probably be staying West Coast for season 1.
Yeah.
And that's just because we have a lot of connections West Coast. And it's silly to... We don't want to... the first few seasons will be the hardest as far as getting in the motion of... it's a lot of work, Kat.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
I mean, you've done the work, but it is still a lot of work.
Russian. I used to date a guy named Slava that was Russian.
I am Russian.
Just random
Hello.
Name. What's
Russian,
up, Russia?
I am Kat.
What's his name? It's not Slava, is it?
It is.
I think he spelled it Slava is what Slava.
Yashalava. Yashalava.
No, Slava was his first name. Sorry, random. Aren't we fun to be on live streams with? You never know what's going to happen, Jeez.
You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, Slava. Slava didn't work out. We dated for a month, and he had a really bad drinking problem, and it was just not going to work. Wasn't going to work, boo-boo.
We got time for that right now.
I mean, I should make just a book on my exes. I feel like that would be fun.
Yeah, it's a burn book.
It's a burn book. No, not all of them are bad. Not all of them are bad. Just a couple.
Oh, I guess I need to make a burn book.
I think you should then, Kat. I feel like I really want to read this now.
All the tea.
I'm
all
dead. So anyway, back to the pilot. Yeah, we have
Sorry. Yeah.
we have some good stuff planned. So, but I need to, get healthy first and
Hmm.
not die. That'd be a good one. That's a good goal.
That'd be great. Please don't do that.
I was on the phone with Kat when my mom was in the hospital because it would be like, everything's fine. And the next phone call, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, it was just constant. And so, like, I'd call Kat, and the first thing I'd be like, I think I'm dying. Like, I just feel like she'd be like, please don't
There's
die.
something wrong with me.
Please.
Yeah.
She's like, this is way too hard to do the series by myself. Please. So, yeah, it's a matter of, like, the first few seasons, I'm going to try to make it, there's certain things I'm going to make easy, meaning I would never fly the crew to Europe for the first few seasons because we need to make sure that we get a consistent filming schedule down. And Joshua just said, are all of your exes from Texas? That's really weird. No, let me tell you why that's weird. That's weird because that used to be my favorite George Strait song when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, so
that's weird.
Because my dad was really into country music, and he was in my life till I was like 8, and so he loved George Strait, and so I used to sing that song with my dad. So that creeps me out a little bit. That's a little creepy.
Whoa!
But shout out to Joshua
Jack.
Holler for being like
Jack.
an empath. I appreciate that.
Weird.
So yeah, just a matter of getting the crew, making sure everyone's on schedule, because there's so many details, aren't there, Kat, that you don't even think about with like filming a series.
Yeah. And it's all important.
It is.
All the little stuff eventually adds up and helps create this.
Yep.
All the little cogs in the wheel have to be spinning.
Can't have a weak link or everybody falls apart. And
but it's been a good learning experience.
Well,
it's
yeah,
a healthy learning experience.
The thing with failures is that you learn from them. You need failures in order to learn, because without them you don't know how to do it again the correct way.
True.
And nobody's perfect. True. Jesus Lord, especially me. We all know that. And so you just have to be attentive. But yeah, I don't think Kat, you didn't probably quite know what you were getting into at the beginning, did you?
No. No.
No.
I mean, Krystal, I went to school for opera. Okay?
I'm dead.
I don't even know.
But you're but you do great.
Well.
But you're great.
He taught me very well.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel definitely a lot more confident.
I mean, you've been basically in training under my wing for a year now. I feel like you should be pretty much there. I mean, even dealing with this idiot producer you had to deal with yesterday, you understand now why I've trained you guys the way I have, and that there's so many reasons for it. One is professionalism, which I know you have a hard time with because you're an Aries. I'm sorry. Sometimes Kat just cannot handle it. She's like, when you're stupid, I'm going to tell you you're stupid. No, I'm just kidding.
I handled the conversation professional.
No, I know.
But on social media, that's a different story, because I will burn you.
No, I mean, you're allowed to be upset. I mean, you were upset.
Yeah.
She got backed in a corner, essentially, with somebody, and somebody was very combative with her, and she wanted to tell him that you shouldn't be combative with me because I've been in training as a producer for X amount of time, and I know more than you, and this person didn't like that, essentially, is what happened. And you did great. As she's turning red, the fire is coming up from within the depths of the Aries.
I think that's my sunburn, Krystal.
Oh my God.
I can't tell.
Are you really sunburnt?
I don't know, probably.
Don't sit in a parade then wearing 1920s clothes again. I mean, Jesus Lord.
Oh, gosh.
Way to kill yourself. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, it's slowly dying. It's fine. But I'm good now.
But yeah, you get it though, right? Now you understand it's not just professionalism, but it's also that family unit that I have been so beating into everybody's heads, which is, I have told Kat and Chanel over and over, we're going to be on the road traveling in an RV. Chanel is going to put her freaking coffee cup on my side of the platter, and I'm going to throw a fit because I'm just in a bad mood. Like, we're going to get on each other's nerves for no reason. And it's happened before. Right. And it's just, but, it's family. It's like sisters, and you can't just go away from each other. You have to get over it, confront each other, and then move on. Just keep going.
Exactly.
And so,
man.
I know. What's the biggest lesson you've learned, do you think, so far?
I think I respect this process production a lot more than I did, because they make it look so
So weird. You're
people,
cutting
that
out
have
when
done
you're
it.
saying this. It's so weird. It's creeping me out.
Really?
Yeah, you haven't been cutting out at all, and all of a sudden you answer this question and you're cutting out. It's really weird.
Is it my Aries? Is it my Aries interfering?
I don't know. Is it
Can you
Aries or
hear
is it
me?
your like demons? Is it
Can
your?
you hear me?
Yeah, I
No?
can hear you. But is it your Aries or
Oh,
your demons? I'm not sure which.
it could be both, honestly. Let's just be real at this
Okay,
point.
you said you respect the process because what now?
I said I definitely respect the post production process a lot more, just because I do have some friends that do like things on smaller scale regarding film, and they make it look so easy, and it's not like at all, especially working in it.
So there's pre-production, production, and post-production.
Hmm.
And not one of those is more important than the other.
Nope,
And if you don't
they're
have
all
one,
important.
you're FUCKED, right? Big time. Big
True,
time.
it's true.
I mean,
Yep, everything needs
we've
to be
had some
top
little
par.
like flubs that aren't our fault. It's not has nothing to do with Kat and I because we're kind of running this whole thing. But like we've
Right.
hired a handful of composers, and because I really wanted some original good music that I wanted to talk to these composers and portray how I wanted it to sound. And some of these composers fell off the bandwagon, and it wasn't
Yeah.
on purpose. We didn't, it was nothing we did. They just fell
No.
off the boat and then floated back to shore. And when that happens, what do you have to do?
Keep going, keep swimming.
Find somebody else to get
Life
on the boat,
story.
right? Yep.
Yep.
Keep going. So it's a lot of all these little things you don't think of, and unfortunately, even if they're little, it still takes a day or two to like figure it out and retie it and re-sew it up, and then you have to keep going. So, once you get everybody that's meant to be in the positions that we need, then the whole thing will just start moving. It's kind of like a steam machine, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There's like all these
Absolutely.
components to it, and you need everybody in place, and everybody's got to move at the exact same time. And if it doesn't, you get halted for a second. You got to get someone in there again. Okay, we got to keep moving again. It's crazy.
That's funny.
It is. It's
It is
interesting.
true, though. It is. And we all have to work together in order to make this successful.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's true. It's true. It's a lot of work, but it's why you gotta.
It is.
I don't know. It's funner. You've kind of learned though. Like if we were doing it the other production way, which is like scripted, and basically we were hired as talent, and we weren't doing any of the camera work ourselves or anything like that. Would you prefer that way more? Do you think?
No. No. I wouldn't. Only because it makes you value and appreciate all the hard work that you put in when you do it Krystal's way.
Yep.
The hard way. It's never the easy way, and
No.
she's always preached that. But it's definitely the more empowering way to know that you can do it. You can do anything if you put in the work for it.
Yep. That's true.
Absolutely. And that's also been another aspect of this journey in, Krystal taking me under her wing and regards to being a producer, is reestablishing within myself that you can do anything that you put your mind to with hard work, dedication, and screwing up, and learning from that, and you just keep going.
Oh yeah, you have to
keep
screw
going.
up. Oh man, you don't want to know what I used to do when I used to be a producer. I didn't even know what I was doing. No idea what I was doing. But, I think that's too how we have lost people on the road that we've been on. People like Brittany. We loved Brittany. We didn't have any personal vendetta against her. But from the beginning, I did tell everybody everyone has a very important job and everyone has to contribute. And we can't not have one limb contributing, because once again, that steam machine, if you don't have one person doing something, their job is important. And unfortunately, all the people that fell off, including Brittany, didn't want to put the work in. And the reason is it's freaking hard, isn't it? It's a lot of work.
It is. It's not for everybody.
No.
It's not for everybody.
No, it's not.
And it just, the universe just intervened.
Even Chanel on set, there were times Chanel was literally hanging out the window of the SUV to film. I mean, quite literally.
Mhm.
with some of the audio with the wind, we can tell she's hanging out the window. But she, that's part of her job. Is she, she has to do that. She needs to get the shot no matter what it takes. Whatever it takes, you have to do it. There were deer on set that oddly were walking up to us, which we got some really cool shots where we were, but that can potentially be dangerous. I mean, they can attack or they could buck or who knows. We almost got ate by a pack of coyotes on set
Oh my god.
because Chanel thought it was a freaking ambulance siren.
Oh my god.
I'm dead. And so yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it takes a whole crew of people. Everybody has to put in their effort. And that's truly why so many paranormal shows out there go the easy route, which is you have these professional producers and stuff, and they're gonna hand you a script and tell you like what to say in this paranormal scripted series, and then move everybody around kind of like chess players, and then the only thing you have to do Chanel said, okay, listen.
Okay, listen.
So then the only thing you have to do is read from the script and memorize the script. That's easy. I'm training Kat, my talent is the production staff. Chanel is a major part of this, but she's also one of our major camera techs. Kat is a major part of this and a character you're going to see on screen, but she's also one of the producers. So she not only, helped with the pre-production process before we even got to location, but now we're on location and she knows what needs to get done on location. And then in post-production, we have really amazing people on post-production. Kat just found some new composers that are awesome. They're from Dubai. I love diversity is a huge part of my crew. You have Chanel, who's Italian, Kat, who's Mexican American, and me, that's Native American. Blake's just white. Blake's just white. And but you have like all these key people involved, and even in post-production, now it's out of our hands. We've shot everything. But now we have to make sure that like my main editor Ben and my scorer, which is like audio, which is Jeff, we have to make sure everybody's in tune. Even though it's out of mine and Kat's hands, now we have to be checking in on the edit, making sure DaVinci, everyone's doing what they need to do. And it doesn't end. It's never ending work, but
It's always going.
think about how much it's going to pay off in the end to say that you were the part of the filmmaking process. You weren't just talent that was reading from a script or that was hired as talent.
And you get to travel with your family.
Yep.
And some of your best friends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who doesn't want that?
It's true. It's true, Chanel.
So,
Chanel and your coyotes.
No,
We're never going to let her live the coyotes down. I just want you guys
Literally
to know.
Never.
We were literally feet, possibly inches away from death, okay? And
It was
Chanel,
the one time I yelled at her.
Chanel was not concerned. That's all I'm going to say. She was
Like,
not.
Drop the wires. Just drop them.
I'm literally, imagine me laying against a door that was also from maybe the 1900s that wouldn't shut.
Not a lock on it.
While Kat's trying to get a knife and make sure we have something to defend ourselves. While Chanel's sitting in the corner like, wait, what's going on? It was an ambulance.
She walks out of the room, and Krystal and I are, like, up against the door because you can literally, like, hear them sniffing at the door.
They were walking on the boards outside of the door.
Yes. So when she walked out, we're like,
Chanel, what are you doing? Chanel's like, it's an ambulance, guys. And I was like, no, it's not. We're going to die. Oh, my God. We're never going to let her live that. Never.
No.
It's great footage. It makes for great footage. So, anyway, Chanel, we love you. Don't worry. You're pretty, and that's all that matters. And you did great with your footage, so it's all good. Any last notes? This was a fun stream. It's gonna be good. We're gonna get back into streaming weekly now. We'll be back next week on Saturdays. I'm trying to I was planning on actually streaming like Mondays and Wednesdays, I think was my schedule. I don't have it in front of me. On Twitch, and I was gonna do like a viewing party of like the new Tom DeLonge show on History and the new Chuck Zukowski show on Travel Channel, but until I get better, I don't think anybody wants me to do commentary with this like deep voice that I have going on here.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. So what about...
Girl Diaries.
Oh, okay, last thing that I just want to talk about.
Yes.
Chanel, for the record, I was setting up a camera.
We know exactly how she's saying that and the tone she's saying that in.
We know, Chanel. Okay, we know.
We love you.
Mm-hmm. I was setting
You're
up a camera.
doing your job, girl. You did it.
It's true. What do you think of this whole online frenzy that's happening with,
Area 51?
yeah.
Freaking stupid. They're all gonna die. They're all gonna die. I'm not even gonna be talking about it. They're literally all gonna get shot by snipers, and it's just gonna be bad. Use your brain, people.
Okay, I haven't been to Area 51, but I have been on the road to Area 51. Does that make sense? Because it's literally desolate. So, like, you have to drive it. It's out in the middle. They have, like, right. I mean, military. Blake was in military. Like, there's military towers set up all over. They literally have snipers in the desert. I saw a video this morning on Facebook of an elderly woman, probably in her 60s or 70s, who is packing a bag, preparing for this. She's going to be one of the people that storms Area 51. I mean...
She's gonna be dead.
What is wrong? I don't care if they're... So, you know what the mentality is, though, Kat? This is what they're saying verbatim, because Blake loves conspiracies, so he's been, like, really reading into it. He read through, like, the forums. Their motto is, if there are thousands of us that storm Area 51... quote, they can't stop all of us.
Yes, they can. With sniper rifles. And lots of them. And you just can't do that.
How do you know?
I mean,
how do you know they
dangerous.
Can't stop all of you? It's our military running it.
Right.
So you're saying they can't, like, throw a grenade or something? You think they won't kill people to stop them from getting in there? You're crazy if you think that. There are signs that say, we will kill you if you step past this line. I don't care if there's thousands.
People go missing. People go missing.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
I would love to know where the brain is in this decision-making process, because clearly it's a lot of people like the producer you dealt with yesterday.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know what? Not that I agree with what Area 51 is doing and scaring people and killing people and, holding people hostage, but, if they're clearly hiding something, you need to just leave alone.
You know what my opinion is on it? I don't think they're hiding, okay, I do believe at one point there was probably, like, alien intelligence at Area 51, but I think because it's become so mainstream, I highly doubt it's even there anymore. That's my opinion.
I don't know. There's a thing I watched on Netflix of a guy that actually worked at Area 51, and he had a huge controversy because the FBI was, like, threatening to kill him and his family.
I think I saw that. I saw that guy.
Releasing all this info. It was really well done. And he did say that they are making, like, flying saucers and that they are creating, quote, alien tech.
Right.
And I don't know what they're basing it off of, if it's because they found something, but there's a reason there are people in the hills with sniper rifles.
Oh my god.
And I think it's best to just leave it at that.
Well, I guess I feel like if you actually accurately would like to, like, be a part of Area 51, the only answer I have for you is go freaking join the military and get in the Air Force.
Yep.
There's really no other way around it. I mean, like, storming it is just one-way ticket to dying, but that's none of my business. So, because even Tom DeLonge, he joined in on the conversation yesterday. And I retweeted him, and he was like, please don't go to Area 51 and be an idiot. Like, you're not making smart decisions. And absolutely, I don't.
Yep.
They're snipers. That's all I'm saying. It's ran by our military. What makes you think that they can't stop you? I mean, that's an absurd, like, ignorant ideology to think that they wouldn't stop you. So anyway, that's my tea on it. But you know what? If anybody does get through, we'll probably never hear from you anyway. And because you're probably facing thousands of more military that's already in there. So good luck. They'll probably hold you hostage and, like, peel your fingernails off. So if you do get video footage, make sure you send it to me, okay? And tag me in it on Twitter. Send it to GGD. And I can't save
That's
you, so
effed
there's
up.
nothing I can do, but I wish you luck. I feel like that's like Stranger Things, the third season, where they got like taken by the Russians. It was pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
It was hilarious. Oh my
Yep, for
god.
sure.
Yeah,
And
watch.
also scarily accurate, I'm sure.
It's a secret cave underground under a mall of all things, trying to open a
Run by
portal.
Russians.
Run by Russians. Oh my god.
Yeah, so secretive.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We had so much fun as usual. We will be back next week. I'm not sure if Chanel's going to join us or not, probably. But make sure you guys follow us on social media. And as always, we will catch you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for everything.
Bye.